My name is Dr. Josephine Palermo and this is Gears Action Growth. Today I'm joined by Shelley Ceridwen Doyle, a connection coach. This is part 2 of our conversation, so if you missed part 1, go back and have a listen to that one first.
Something that's just coming up to me is just about building authentic conversation and how important it is to say if you are assuming something, actually speaking out the assumption rather than following the trail of the assumption. Actually say because of this action, my mind is making up that this is happening. Is this true? And inquiring the piece about saying, is this true? Then the person's probably going to be like, oh no, not at all. And then they say what the truth is.
Yeah, I love that. It's actually getting into clear conversation, and because we do make assumptions at we know that our brain works that way, and so actually it slows down the conversation too. I imagine, Shelley, when
Yes.
rather because we make assumptions to kind of do a shortcut. You say something, I make an assumption about what you mean, and then I go to the next thing. But if I'm saying to you, well, Shelley, I'm assuming you mean this. That actually slows down the conversation a lot. Yeah.
Yes. And just asking to slow things down is also really effective because it shows that you're actually interested to go that level deeper.
Yeah. And I think it also, I had an example actually of a potential conflict situation where I was a bit peeved about something that had happened. And I said, I was talking to the person about what they had done, a decision they had made. And and sometimes this is the problem. We ask a question, but we're really making a statement. And I said something like, why did you do A, B, and C? But really what I was saying in my mind is, I'm not happy about you doing A, B, and C. I wasn't really, but I was wanting to understand. So there was a bit of that going on. And the other person said, I would rather you're more curious in that question, because I feel like you're assuming this. So she did that with me. And then I said, no, that's not my intention. I am curious. Because when I thought about it, it's like, no, I am curious. I do want to understand what went wrong. But if she hadn't done that, she would have assumed something that wasn't really my intention, and we would have had a conflict about that for sure, 100%. But we avoided that conflict because of this sort of just in the moment being a little bit cognizant of what is it that I'm getting from this, and because we care about the relationship too. I think that she sort of slowed that down for me, and it was great. I loved being part of that conversation.
What a wonderful learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Malcolm McLuhan? And his thing is all non-violent communication. So he's got a fabulous YouTube. It's like a whole seminar that's on YouTube, all about this. And he has these little puppets that he does
I haven't seen
on this video. But it's all about when we're trying to understand a situation better, communicating our needs and our feelings is all we can really do, because anything else is an assumption. So don't assume anyone else's needs or feelings. Inquire, like you said, be curious, or say what our feelings are about something that has occurred and allow that person to contribute whatever it is that they're feeling about what has occurred.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I don't think I've come across that. So again, fantastic resources here, Shelley. So you're how far are you into your masters? Are you
So I just finished the last module, but I still have my thesis to do. So my thesis, through it, I've also been taking a business accelerator program to develop a program. So I think the masters and the business accelerator have been quite complementary, because I've been able to really bring all of my learnings into a 6-step program. And then my thesis will scientifically test the effectiveness of this program to help people make the shift from loneliness to belonging. Although what I thought, I was really assuming that loneliness and belonging were like on a single continuum. And actually, I had this epiphany, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Has anyone else discovered this? But of course, because I've got access to all of the research, and I'm like, oh, okay, a few people have also had this thought. But then as a social science researcher, what I found so curious is you think that is totally correct, and then you stumble upon something else which felt even more right. And in this more recent model, which was only introduced, I think, in 2021, it's a loneliness and belonging quadrant. So there's A, B, C, and D. And in the D quadrant, it's socially indifferent. And then we've got socially distressed, socially searching, and then socially fulfilled. So I'm wanting to help people. I'm assuming that most people that want to do my program are going to be socially searching. They're kind of ready to go. They want to find their people. They want to feel connected. But also curious to see if anyone joins it who is maybe feeling like they're socially indifferent, feeling like they don't mind either way. And imagine if I could help them to get to socially fulfilled and go, how can your life be improved now? And I really see Maslow's hierarchy of needs in this, and belonging is there. Like that is going to help your esteem. That is going to help you go towards your life purpose, your goals, when you're surrounding yourself with people that you can be authentic with.
Your work is with adults or with children and teenagers? Because I know that this is something that teenagers find quite vexing, and it's very important for them. But are you sticking with that adult population?
So I've done a research brief for my thesis, which I still need to run through with my prof. In that, I've suggested starting from the age of 15. So I would love to. I have approached a high school. I'm going to see one of them on
Yeah.
Saturday to see if I could have a group of them from high school,
Wouldn't
because I
that be
think that would be
wonderful?
so valuable.
Mm. I was talking to my nephew a while back, and he's just started high school. So he's in year seven. So in Australia, that's the first year of sort of secondary school, which is a
So
big
11 or
transition.
12.
Yeah, it's a really big transition, and he was finding it a bit difficult with his because he had formed a friendship group and that dissolved. And so he was finding, I think, in terms of his sense of belonging to a tribe and belonging to even the identity with the school, he wasn't feeling it because of that dissolution of this friendship group. And I said to him, well, you just haven't found your people yet. Maybe it's not them, but there'll be others. And then I explained to him that, I had that experience when I was younger too. I felt like I was searching for my people, through high school as well. I didn't really find them until I was, in university. And he was surprised by that. And I'm hoping that that gave him a little bit of optimism in a way, because I
Mm.
feel like I'm sort of a role model in his life, and I feel like he would never have guessed that I had that sense of, that I felt the same as he did at his age,
Mm.
that I had that sense of loneliness, and I was very much a seeker. I would have been a seeker on your quadrant. I think I still am. I think a lot of what I do is I'm always searching for, different communities to be involved in. And like you, I create communities just to make that happen. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But often it's hard for the instigators, because you put all this effort in, you go and you create this beautiful shared experience, and then you go back and you're like, oh, everything's quiet.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And there's something about holding a space too that you don't experience it in the same way as participants, because you're
Mm.
holding the space. So yeah, I kind of, there's a bit of a trade-off there. But I'm so glad you're doing this work with younger people too, because I think that there's a real need there. I would be fascinated too to see the differences. So I wish
Yes.
you well with that. Although it is a master's, so
Thank you.
you need to kind of define the scope so that it doesn't, it doesn't become a huge and too, too big for you to handle and manage as well.
Yeah, the feedback that I initially had from my research brief was this is a PhD.
Yeah,
It needs to be scaled back a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll be happy to carry on and do a PhD if the funding's there.
that's right.
I'll take it. But one of the biggest learnings that I would love to share is from an anthropologist named Dr. Robin Dunbar, and he came up with something called Dunbar's number many moons ago. And the biggest learning, I had him on my podcast and really said to him, what is the key part of this? Because in his theory, our brains can only hold 150 people in our consciousness at any one time, which that sounds like a lot of people. But then if we think about all of the people on our different social media
Yeah,
channels, that would add up to many more than 150.
yeah,
So if we're giving kind of love and attention to people on our social media channels who aren't in our 150, we're diluting ourselves and not giving that to the people that are. So in the work that I do, I really help people to kind of map their communities, starting very much on the inside, which is your first five to 15 people. And
oh,
that is really
wonderful.
the key. And I think especially for high school kids,
Yeah,
really start just think of your five. Who's your five?
yeah, and nurturing
Start
that.
really,
Yeah.
really small and nurture
Mm,
that,
mm,
because we
mm.
don't need that many people in our circles to really feel that sense of belonging, but they have to be the
Yeah.
right people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to mention your podcast, Shelley. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yes, so it's called Rediscovering Connection. I think I've just filmed episode 15, and it's been a real journey. Half the people I already knew from one realm of life or another, and then some of them were recommended to me, and then about four of them were people that I'd never met before the podcast. So for me, it's been a real journey to rediscover connection with lots of different people. And then we really talk about the pivotal individuals and communities that have played a part in shaping their journey. And most of the people that I'm speaking to really have discovered their purpose, and they're really feeling like they're on that track. So I really want to find out how they've like made that leap, to hopefully inspire other people who are like almost getting to that point, but maybe they need to join a community that's going to resonate with them, or to start watching out for the clues in their path of life to take them in the right
Oh,
direction.
that's wonderful. So there's that as well. And I didn't realize that you'd interviewed Robin Dunbar, so I'm interested to hear that episode. That would be
Yes.
fascinating. So,
He gave me like 3 hours
oh
of his
wow.
time. So I actually broke it down into two. There's one which is the science of happiness, and then there's another one which is basically connection in the workplace.
Great. Fantastic. Well, we'll
Yeah,
definitely put
it
the
was a
link.
huge honor, huge honor.
Wonderful.
Like
Isn't that?
I feel like before I'd spoken to him, I was already talking about his work, but afterwards, I just feel in so much more integrity to actually say it, because I've really felt it in that conversation. And I don't know about you, but my podcast journey has been unreal in that respect. Like I feel like I'm learning and growing so much with every conversation.
Yeah.
And actually, like you said, we felt a real connection. And one of my guests, I'd never met before, and then we met just a couple of weeks after our podcast. And the feeling of meeting her at a big, it was at the Disrupt HR event that I've
Oh,
gone to, that
okay.
I met
Wonderful.
her, that you're going to be hosting in
Yes.
Brisbane.
Yeah.
And we were both just like it felt incredible, like ridiculously over the top good to actually meet in person. So I don't know what it is, but this podcasting is magical. And I honestly don't know why everyone isn't doing it.
Well, I agree. I think it's really wonderful. It's such a lovely space that you create for yourself and others to have really deep conversations, and I think that's why. it's popular. You know, I go back to my partner's actually been listening to some old radio shows. Do you remember the Twilight Zone?
Oh, it
In
rings a
this,
bell.
it's in the 80s. I think in the 80s and 90s they did the Twilight. In the 80s they did it as a radio show, and then they did it on TV, I think in the 90s. And he's been going back to it. Just it's their stories, their fictions. And I
Mm,
was sort of commenting with him. I was saying a lot of us have. Isn't it interesting how in 2023, 2022, we've suddenly gone back to just listening? You know, I mean, I know that there's a visual element to, for example, we're videoing this conversation as well, but the rise of, you know, popularity of podcasting is about just listening to other people
yes.
have conversations or tell a story. It's as old as time, that you know, that practice. It's
Yes.
wonderful.
And you think how much more we're able to learn through
Absolutely.
listening to podcasts than just watching a fiction show
Yeah,
on Netflix, for
that's right.
instance.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
growing as individuals, right?
Mm-mm. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So it's wonderful. Well, Shelley, that's been a wonderful conversation. We're running out of time, but I wanted to just check in with you. Is there anything that maybe I haven't asked you that you wanted to share? Just anything else before we go?
Maybe I could just share some of the obstacles that stop us from connecting,
Great. Yes, let's do that.
right? Okay, so thinking that people have already got all of their friends and connections and they probably don't have any space for me. If people keep coming to mind, then I would just encourage people to just follow the clues. If people just keep dropping in, if one person just keep, you're like, I haven't seen them or spoken to them for like 5 years. Why'd they keep dropping in? Just listen to the call and follow the trail.
Love that.
Social media, love it or hate it. It is consuming our time. So I think studies are saying that we're spending about 3 hours a day on social media and 27 minutes a day on average with our
Oh,
friends.
wow.
So uh, uh, just I would just encourage people to watch themselves if they're feeling that call for connection, and then they go on social media, get distracted, scroll for a bit, and then forget why they went on there in the first place. Doing the work to figure out who is in your 12 to 15 people. And then when that feeling of, I want a bit of connection comes over you, or a niggle of loneliness comes over you, how about reaching out to some of these people instead of going on social media, and just start to nurture, send a couple of audio notes, do a bit of self-care before, get into your vibe. And yeah, really just nurture your people and just to remember how precious they are. And remember how beautiful it feels to get a real personal message from one of your dearest beloved friends. And then how precious it would be for them to receive it of you.
I love that list, Shelley. That's wonderful. Even if we had just done that, I think it's fabulous. I love that, and I absolutely agree with that last point. Those precious things that, you know, I'm the thing that I do, for example, particularly around this time, Christmas. I put a lot of effort into cards and writing cards because gifts are. I can give a gift, but it's that time that I spend handwriting, you're choosing a card and then handwriting a card. And a lot of my friends and family, they always comment on that. I mean, I keep all my cards because I love to go through them and remind myself of the lovely messages that people have written. It's very lo-fi, isn't it? It's not hi-fi
That's
at
it.
all.
It's beautiful, but it's your
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
Josephine, and that's it. And that is so precious. Like that's our one resource, which is finite.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic.
I am planning to be in Australia in February. So if you do have
Yes.
any HR chums that are looking for an innovative workshop for their organization, or they want support with an employee program for their new recruits, then please drop me a line.
Yes. Shelley, what dates are you in Australia and whereabouts
Um,
will you be?
w- We've got February just marked out,
Okay.
and we're going to be going to New Zealand, to Tauranga, and then to Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney.
Great. All right, fantastic. So yeah, we'll definitely spread the word about that as well. Thank you so much, Shelley. It's been such a pleasure, and I know we'll be talking again. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you, love. Bye.